So today we'll be showing you my newest and biggest custom set ever. Now this is based on Boba Fett's palace from the Book of Boba Fett, so from here on out there will be spoilers for the first 3 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, and it'll only have things based on those first 3 episodes. I'm thinking about once the show is finished after episode 7, I will do a follow-up video where I add on anything that I need to add on after that, because I think that that's a bit of a cool idea. But this is the set here based on the first 3 episodes. Now this is by far the biggest custom set I've ever made. My last biggest one was Edu, that had 896 pieces. This one, on the other hand, has 3,096 pieces, and I think it's appropriate to call this one a Master Builder Series set. However, we won't be getting onto the build just yet. As always, we will be starting with the minifigures, which overall there are 20 of. So we better get in quick because I don't want this to be a massive half-an-hour video. First figure up is obviously the main character of the show, Boba Fett. Now this figure is basically the same as Lego's one, there are only a few slight differences. The helmet and the jetpack are in a dark green, which is the accurate colour, and also the helmet is a bit more scratched up as the original trilogy version. There is also a little bit of gold printing on the belt, which is just a bit more accurate, as well as I've given him dual molded legs. So that's really the only difference, apart from underneath the helmet where there is a different face print. Just different because in the Book of Boba, his face is a bit different, it's less scarred up. There are still scars, and I did put that into the face print. I also gave him a lighter tone than what Lego did, just because it's more accurate, at least to the Book of Boba Fett. And yeah, he's just a bit more scarred up. But this isn't actually the only face that I made for him, which I will show you soon. For that, there is actually another variant of Boba included, being the back-to-tank Boba Fett. Now this is a pretty basic figure. It does have a different face print with his eyes closed, and he also has a shirtless print with some more scars. He also has dual molded legs with the grey shorts, and then just the normal legs which fit his face and his torso. So yeah, it is a pretty basic thing. Also for the mouthpiece, there isn't a piece that properly works, but I did end up choosing this one. I think that it works the best. It definitely isn't that accurate, but there isn't anything else. There are actually 4 Boba Fett heads included in the set. One is the back-to-tank one is that stern face, one is a smirking face, and one is an angrier face. Now these are actually included because I can't do a double-sided face print with Boba, just because he's bald, so I have had to end up doing this. And yeah, this is fine. There are just 2 extra heads included either way, and of course you can just display your Boba Fett with the helmet on, so really you could just put any face under there and use these faces for anything, but I just wanted to include them as, you know, it would be a $350 set, so why not just have that variety in there. Figure is Fennec Shan. She's identical to the Lego's version, the only difference being is that she's included with a hairpiece. She also would have the helmet in the set, however it won't be showing up anywhere in the video, just because that Mechabricks doesn't actually have that piece in, so I can't put it in any of the images, but it would be in the set somewhere. So the 2 identical Gamorrean guard minifigures. Now these aren't actually rendered because Mechabricks again does not have the piece, plus the piece wouldn't work because they're shirtless and the armor's different, so really this is just a pretend kind of thing, because there is literally no way I could do it without, I guess, printing a Gamorrean thing on a regular head, which I decided not to do, so I think this was the best route, and again, they won't be showing up in any of the other images, but they are included in the set, and there was just sadly no other way I could put them in, which is disappointing, but again, at least they are here. Next up is 8D8, a brick-built droid. Now this one was really hard to get the design right, especially for the head. I'm pretty happy with the rest of the body, but the head I'm still not quite happy with, but I did print on the chest and face piece, and while I'm not 100% happy, just because this is a really hard figure to design without a new mold, I am satisfied by what I did. And I think that this gets the point across, and I think that anyone who at least knows who 8D8 is would look at that and see 8D8. Next up is the Mayor's Major Domo. Now he does have a custom printed torso. The face is just another face print which I recolored in dark orange, which I've chosen for a skin tone, and I just thought that it really comes across as the Major Domo with that expression, that smirk, and he also does have that more stern face. The headpiece is of course just the Twi'lek one. It does have the Ula print, and that was the one that worked the most. Again, I couldn't custom print on that thing just because of the Mechabricks limitations, but still, I am pretty happy with how that turned out. There is like a weird green outline for a bit of it though, which is kind of annoying. And he does also have like a skirt piece and some dark green legs, which was, again, there was a bit of debate for that color choice, but I did end up settling on dark green as the most accurate one. I also had olive green, sand green, and just the regular dark stone grey as options for that torso color. Next is the Night Wind Assassin, the one that Fennec took hostage. Now this one was a fun one to make. I think that while it doesn't have any new custom printed parts, it is very recognizable as one of the Night Wind Assassins. I'm also pretty happy with the face print, which is the young Han Solo one. And that's actually a Mandalorian torso flipped around. It's actually one of the figures from the Mandalorian Battle Pack, and I think that it does work very well. He also has dual molded legs with those brown boots, and of course he is in a lot of dark red. He also has that like Ninjago mask piece and also a kind of helmet piece, which I did want to use the swimming cap, but I could not find it in Mechabricks, sadly. Now, the next 6 characters are all actually from a scene which hasn't actually shown up in the show yet. I presume it will in episode 4, but there is enough reference for me to make them all as minifigures, but I am not going to be giving them custom prints just because we can't actually see like the rest of their bodies yet, so there really isn't that much point because it won't be that accurate, but I have found some regular torsos which are actually already made, which do work very well for the minifigures in my opinion. Some better than others, I will admit, but they definitely do work quite well. First up is Doc Strassi, who did actually appear in the first episode, so we do know his name, and he was the one that brought a Wookiee Pelter's tribute to Boba, so I did include that with him. But yeah, he's basically a Trandoshan. Also, the Trandoshan mold isn't in Mechbrick, so I kind of had to put it on like that. It's the same with the Aqualish, but I do think that it looks fine, and it is kind of hard to notice. But yeah, Doc Strassi here, he does look like Doc Strassi, and there isn't much else to say. Him comes his Trandoshan friend, who we again haven't seen yet, so we don't know his name, and yeah, he's a pretty basic figure, but he definitely does get the point across. Next up is a character who also appeared in episode 1, he was an Aqualish, his name is Gar Farlaquok, so he is my new favourite Star Wars character. Anyways, he's very basic, just uses that Aqualish head pasted on, and uses a recolored Obi-Wan torso and some legs. Same with his other Aqualish counterpart, who also has an orange jacket, just like Ponda Baba. So yeah, now I can think of 3 Aqualish who have orange jackets, which is kind of funny how it's like a fashion thing. World building, guys. Finally, the Klatooinians, this one being the one that speaks up against Boba. Here's that really weird purple colour, which there isn't a Lego colour that actually represents it well, so I ended up going for this one. It is a very basic one. Also, changing the colour of the print didn't really work, but still, it gets the point across that it's this character. And the final of the 6 is the other Klatooinian, and he's just in a more tan colour and wears black. Again, a very basic figure. Next up is actually a Jawa, just because why not include a Jawa? The Mos Eisley Cantina MBS set did, so why not this Boba Fett's Palace set? Also, kind of for the sake of it, is a Gonk droid. There is actually another purpose for this, which we'll get into in the build, but a Gonk droid is included. There are also the 2 dresser droids that Boba has that kind of dress him. These are brick built, they were kind of hard to get that shape right, and there isn't really good reference material apart from like pausing the episode, and this is the best one I could find for a comparison. But if you watch the episode, they do kind of have that rounded base, but I instead went for one with a stud just so that you could put them there and they wouldn't actually like fall over. I was thinking about using the lever piece, just like without the actual lever in it, so just that base. That would work, except I did want them to stand up. But OR Monk is also included in the set. Now this is the same design as the one from the 2012 Jabba's Palace set, apart from that it's updated on that little glass piece that's actually in the Mysterio helmet piece, and there's also just a regular cylindrical brick in there, but it's kind of just an updated design with that Mysterio piece because that piece wasn't around when they did it, and I couldn't find the original piece, and I do prefer this design. The final figure of the set is the Rancor Keeper, aka Danny Trejo. And he's the only figure that I added after seeing episode 3, but again, he doesn't have any custom prints just because I wanted to do him really fast. But yeah, I used the base Malbus here because I think that kind of works. The scar doesn't work, but the rest of the face does, and maybe the beard's a bit different, but I think that the expression overall does kind of resemble him, and the hair is the Qui-Gon piece, which doesn't really work, but it does kind of scream him to me, which is kind of weird. But yeah, overall I am, again, pretty happy with this figure. It's not the most accurate, but I still think that it kind of resembles him. Apart from Danny Trejo, here are all of the minifigures together, and I'm personally really happy with this figure selection. I think that it is overall a good one, especially for the first 3 episodes. Anyways, now it is time to move on to the build. So yeah, this is my biggest build yet, and while it has slightly less pieces than the Mos Eisley Cantina set, by far is this a bigger set, at least in size. This set is honestly gigantic, and you'll see soon just how big it is. Now here's a shot that is kind of what LEGO does, and I usually do this at the end of the video, but I did just want to show everything included in the set. So there's all the minifigures there. The Slave one, that's the exact same one, set 75312, is included in the set, at least a very similar build. I'd like to thank Mechabricks user Batka for already putting this model into Mechabricks. It helped a lot and saved a lot of time. And also to the direct left opposite side is, yes, that's a Rancor. That is the Rancor, and we'll get to that soon enough because that one's actually rendered. And you may actually notice that this image is not rendered. Now that's because obviously it has like 3,000 pieces, and yeah, there's a lot of images I'm about to show you. So yeah, it does end up costing money once you go over 1,000 pieces, and yeah, I decided not to just because there is a lot of images that I'm going to be showing you, plus some extras. So anyways, let's get into this. Plus, by the way, the render quality, even though it isn't rendered, it still looks fine in my opinion, and it is still acceptable to put in this video. First of all, I will just show off some sides of this build. So there's the front, there's also the left side, there is also the right side where you can kind of see the Rancor pin there. There's also the top and also then the bottom. And then of course we're going to get to the most important one, I think, the back side. And yeah, there is a full interior, it is open back. That's something I did want to do, and I know that MBS sets typically don't do it. I mean, like, the Betrayal at Cloud City is fully open, so I don't think it really matters. Like, this is kind of designed like Darth Vader's castle, I guess. And yeah, you know, if you do turn it on a certain angle, at least from the front, it's still displayable. It's even displayable like this, because you can see a lot of different scenes from the Book of Boba Fett. Through the levels now, starting on the bottom, and here's the Rancor pit. So you can see the Rancor trainer there and the Rancor, and it's very open. There's a reason for that. But first off, we'll look at the Rancor. This is brick built, and again, the upcoming Boba Fett's palace will probably, it's rumored to be include a brick built one. And also I should mention that don't get excited for that Boba Fett's palace, because that will be nothing like this. I mean, do get excited for it, but just don't get your expectations this high, because this set is so much bigger than that set will be. That set will be an $100 set, this is a $350 set. So yeah, just don't expect this from that set. That's the main message for this video. Just don't do that. Just enjoy both sets separately. Anyways, the Rancor, yeah, it was honestly like quite easy to build. I was expecting it to take a few design processes, but I think I hit it right the first time. The face was definitely the hardest part to get right, and I'm pretty satisfied by what I did. Now the Rancor in the show did have like those eye patch things for a bit, but I decided just to go for it without the eye patches on, because Boba did remove them, and I presume that they won't be showing up in the show again. So later on in the show it will probably, at least when it's being a Rancor, which I presume it will be doing, it will, you know, not have the eye patches on, because, well, why would a Rancor do that? So yeah, that's my design. It obviously also has the accurate colors, and yes, those are big figure arms, and yeah, they're actually used for the legs as well. A design from Hachiroku24, who is a great mock builder, who I did just decide to use that in. He used it for his Venom and Carnage big figs, who I'm pretty sure, and a few other things. So I really like that design choice, so I decided to use the same thing for this Rancor. Rancor Pit does also double as the hangar for the Slave one, which we know will appear later on in the show. And I did just really want to include, I didn't want to include two separate things, so I said that this was the best option and kind of a cool design. And I guess you can display the Rancor or the Slave one on its own, as they both, I think, are pretty good builds. There is also a space to the side where you can put in that cart that is included in the Slave 1 set, and I believe that that would fit in there. So obviously the Slave 1 is included in the set, but the cart isn't. So if you do actually have that cart from the previous set, then you can actually put it in there. Out of that bit that sticks out, there are also two Technic pins, so you may have noticed that there is only the main building and none of the other towers are included, and that is because if I ever want to build some more expansion sets, then I can actually do it, and that's kind of what I hope LEGO does, so that we could end up with like a Hogwarts style line, where you can buy lots of sets and combine them to make a massive palace. That's what I plan on doing, so if this video goes well, I will be doing an expansion set video. Above all that is the door with obviously all the functions you could expect. The gatekeeper droid does pop out and you can push a pin from behind and it will pop out. And of course also the door can lift up, However, I am not actually sure if this build does actually work in real life. Main level, the main room is of course that throne room build, and there is also the option to put all of those tables and chairs in to recreate the scene which will be coming later in the show, where all of those 6 minifigures are sitting at the table along with Boba and Fennec, and they're having a chat. So you can also just take them off and put them somewhere and then have that big open space, and you can do whatever you want with that. There's probably more playability there, but I did want to include those tables and chairs to recreate that scene. There is also the throne behind, and it is very accurate with the stairs going up and also the things by the door. Outside that door is a corridor which leads to the main gate, and there's also just a little bit of room in there. You can fit the Boa Monk in there, and there's also a little crate on the ground. It is quite crowded, and also you may notice at the end there is a jail cell. Could also use this space to chuck in all those tables and chairs if you're not using them, and you can also just put your Nightwind Assassin in there. Now obviously this doesn't actually appear in the show, so I had to base this off Return of the Jedi, where Han and Chewie get put in there, and obviously that scene is very dark, so I just put a puddle on the ground, a little bowl on the floor, and then it's basically just an open space from there. Left with that room is another room. This is actually the torture room, and this does actually only appear in Return of the Jedi, and that's actually the reason the Gonk Droid's on the set. So you can see there that you can just put it upside down and then 88's in there. I don't know if this will actually appear in the show, but I just decided to include it because I did need some extra rooms, and that it's probably one of the more iconic rooms from Jabba's palace. It's a pretty dark scene, and I don't think LEGO would do it, but I did just still want to include it. Above that is the top level where there's Boba's Bacta room. Now obviously there are the 2 dresser droids, there's Boba in the Bacta tank, and you can put them in there. It basically just opens up, and there's a lot of open space, let's say. It can also slide out, which was the main thing that I wanted it to do, and that gives you more access to the bottom levels, especially the ones at the back, which are hard to access, sadly, but obviously if you pull that out, there is a lot more access. And here's the box that I designed. This is 18 plus and is based on the MBS one. I know it doesn't say MBS anywhere on the box, but it also does say 2,901 pieces. That is before I added the Rancor in, so it did end up passing 3,000 pieces. But overall I am really happy with how this box art looks. It's definitely my favorite one I've ever designed, and I'm really happy that it just looks great with like that sunlight, or like the sunset lighting on there, and also like the shadows behind. I'm just really happy with how it turned out. That has been my Boba Fett's Palace Master Builder Series custom set. I do hope you've enjoyed, and you may be wondering what is my next custom set project. Well, from the In 2022 teaser video, it's meant to be Battle on Scarif, but I've decided to pull up Battle on Utapau before that, just because I think that one will be easier, and Battle on Scarif will actually be, I think, too big to actually make, but I will have to maybe downscale that one, and it will require a lot more effort. So I do want to do Battle on Utapau first, and I will also be doing the 1999 remake Naboo Swamp at some point next month. But yeah, that'll be all for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. That'll be all, folks. Goodbye.